On this edition of Candid With, we have the pleasure of welcoming a distinguished member of Jamaica's legal fraternity, Peter Champagnie. He's a highly respected Jamaican lawyer whose career has been marked by dedication, discipline, and a commitment to excellence. But behind the professional accomplishments and the courtroom experience is a personal story, a story of challenges, choices, lessons, and the people and experiences that help shape the man he is today. In this conversation, we're going beyond the title and the profession. We'll take a look at Mr. Champagnie's early beginnings, the journey that led him into law, and the defining moments and experiences that influenced his career and the values that have guided him along the way. Welcome, Peter Champagnie.
Thanks for having me, and good afternoon to your viewers.
How are you feeling?
Good.
Okay, so we're seeing Peter Champagnie KC. That's like the highest level, in my opinion. What was it like growing up? Were you always aspiring to be a lawyer and to reach the highest level?
Growing up, I was aspiring to survive. I didn't see beyond the day-to-day activities of life. Quite candidly, it was a very tough life. I was raised by my mom, Helen Champagnie, nee Archie, and she had to struggle with us, myself and my sister at the time, and it was very hard. A lot of persons don't know this, but beyond bearing the name Champagnie, would suggest penny or money or whatever, I really didn't have any wealth behind that name at all, despite the fact that the family was at the time well off. But my mother broke off with my father very early. So it was tough. So to answer your question, it was just really trying to survive each day.
When you say tough, people want to know, Mr. Champagnie.
Yes.
Explain what that means.
Okay, let me translate that. So we had, in my household, with my mom and my sister, we had week off and week ons. Week off, this week you don't go to school because you don't have any lunch money. You don't have any bus fare. So you don't go to school this week. Or you may owe money for book rental and you don't want to go to be embarrassed and all of that. That was the nature of my existence. In terms of food, it was always, we made the most out of what we had, but it wasn't something that we had an abundant supply of. So that is what I mean. I mean going to 5 different primary schools. I mean sitting the common entrance more than 3 times and failing and ending up at Meadowbrook High School, which if I had to do it over again, I'd still do it. So that's what I mean in terms of hardships.
Well, what would you say shaped your early years? You speak about your mother being a single parent. How did that impact you, and how did that contribute to the man you are today?
That's a very good question. And I thought about it actually before coming for this interview. I am unashamedly a feminist. I believe in women power. I believe if you want something done, ask a woman. If you want something said, ask a man. And I respect and I love powerful women. So my mom was my inspiration, and she guided me along the way. And throughout life, in terms of my professional career, I've always admired very strong women. Paula Llewellyn, former DPP, Jacqueline Samuels Brown, who also went to Meadowbrook High School, the late, great Valrenita Robertson, and Sandra Minor, King's Counsel as well. Those are ladies that I truly admire. Sometimes from a distance because they don't know it, but it is something that I think all men should really look at, because the strength, there's no other strength than the strength of a woman. I think Shaggy said it in one of his tunes, and he's so right.
Oh, I didn't know you listened to Shaggy.
More than that.
Are there any moments from your childhood that still influence you to today?
Yes. Make the most out of what little you have. So if the camera is able to look down on my shoes, they are very old, but I wake up in the morning and I polish them and I make sure and shine again and polish them again, because not that I can't afford another pair, but it's in my DNA now to take care of what little you have. So you may see it and you may say, oh, nice pair of shoes, new, must be. No, they're not. You're just taking care of what little you have.
And that type of influence, how do you use it to pretty much in your own profession? Like, how do you do that? Because again, you spoke about, you know, the shoes, but in your own profession today, do you use any of these things that you would have learned in your profession?
Yes, making the most of what little you have. So if you have a case that you're doing in court and you're defending someone, the case may look sparse in terms of prospects, but you make the most of it. You develop on a particular point that appear to be simple, and sometimes invariably you strike gold in terms of the results that you want.
And on the issue of resilience and
Yes.
determination, based on your upbringing, that also translated to who you are as a lawyer today, I would imagine.
It has assisted me tremendously in terms of even understanding persons, being able to read a room, to discern certain issues and certain things easily. It doesn't really come with having a PhD. It doesn't come with being the best in terms of your academic achievements. Far from it in my case. I got a bare pass degree in law. You have what is known as pass, then lower second, upper second, and then first class degree. In my time, that was the structure. I don't know if it's still the same, but I got a pass. And here I am.
But then you wrote common entrance all of 4 times, or is it 3 times?
3.
Why?
Because again, the challenges, the economic challenges. My mom, we had to be moving from house to house when we couldn't pay the next month's rent. My mom had to be moving away from my father, who, you know, there was an abusive relationship, physical abuse with herself and my father. And so it was like a cat and mouse game kind of thing. So the moving, the constant moving, not being able to settle down. I started out, I think, at Holy Childhood Prep. I went to Yorktown Primary. Then I went to Water Valley for a little while in St. Mary. And then I ended up at St. Richard's Primary and then went on to Meadowbrook High School.
So you were not able to form or establish friendships back then because of, you know, moving from one place to the other?
No, I wasn't able to. I think the friendships that still exist today is really for those of them that are still alive, my mom's friends, and they have turned out to be adopted aunts and uncles. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And talk to me about the relationship that you have with your sister. Did this experience bring you closer together growing up?
We were close. We were a close-knit family. So it was just the 3 of us. We're not so close anymore, but those are circumstances for another occasion in terms of discussion. But we were close. We were very close, and we supported each other.
Okay,
Yes.
so there was no male figure in your life then,
No.
but you turned out to be a pretty responsible person. Were you determined not to be, like your father, for example?
You're saying it correctly.
Yes.
I resent the fact that some men, when you speak to them and you say, why do you do this to your spouse? Oh, I don't know anything other than that. That's how my father was. So whatever my father was and is, I do the opposite instinctively. And it is because also, as I said before, the great passion and admiration that I have for strong women who, despite challenges, stand up and do well. So my policy, my DNA is to do the complete opposite of what I knew my father did. Yes.
When you were younger, I mean, I know that you were moving from one place to the other.
Yes.
Did you have dreams for yourself? Did you have goals for yourself, or you didn't have the time to think about it?
I had dreams. I mean, when I was on back then it was a JOS bus service, public bus service, and my mom, we were in the bus. I would look at a car with a lady driving and I say, Mommy, that is going to be you and I one day. You're going to get a car. And she would say, yes, Peter, thinking that was just a faraway dream. But little things like that, hoping that one day you can open the refrigerator and you have endless supply of food. So even today, I tend to overindulge in terms of stocking up, in terms of food items, because growing up, whenever you would open that refrigerator, you wouldn't see much in there. And, it was a painful experience. So today, I make sure that my children are not without.
Was law always on the front burner?
Absolutely not.
No, what was it? A police?
Absolutely not. I like the idea of farming at one point because my mother ended up in farming, and then my mother wanted me to join the army. And at one stage, I decided that I wanted to become a medical doctor. But when I sat the 8 CXC subjects and only got 4 subjects and failed all the sciences, I said, well, what's the next best thing? Perhaps law. And then I decided from sixth form at Meadowbrook that maybe I could try this thing.
Is there anything that you would have changed looking back, or are you were happy for the journey that you had taken?
I'm happy for the journey. If I had to do it over again, I wouldn't change anything. I'm very happy for the journey in terms of my family, There are 1 or 2 things that perhaps I would want to change, like anything else or anybody else, but by and large, I'm extremely grateful, and I think that I'm extremely blessed.
You spoke about the influence or the impact that your mother had on your life, but is there anybody else from your childhood that holds such a great space in your heart?
Yes, but he's now deceased, Heron Wright of blessed memory. My teacher, Merle Buchanan from St. Richard's Primary, and my former mentor, Mr. George Thomas, an attorney who was based in Montego Bay and tragically died in a car accident. And just today, the passing of my colleague and my mentor, George Suter, and Tom Tavares Vinson. Also, they all were very instrumental in molding me. And it is something that I would say to young men, surround yourself with different ages in terms of person, not your same age group. Older persons are good, and younger too. So you learn from what the younger people, what is TikTok and all of that, and Instagram and all of that. But you also have older folks that you can learn from and not make the same mistakes that they did.
All right. We're just getting started. On the other side of the break, we talk about the early days of Mr. Champagnie's career, Candid, with Peter Champagnie. We'll be right back.